Welcome back to Pastor Plek's podcast, recording from Austin, Texas, and in studio with me this morning with the messy bun is Mrs. Catie Sas. How are you?
Howdy.
And also, we have Pastor Joseph, ready to rock, ready to ask some questions, ready to get into it. How are you feeling today?
Howdy doody.
Oh!
One upper.
Wow.
And then also straight out of Compton, we have Miss Heather. How are you?
Yippee-ki-yay.
You gotta pause, you gotta stop.
I know, I'm done with that one.
All right, well, welcome back. And I'm so pumped for this podcast. We have a great question coming really aimed at you, full target on your chest. Are you ready for this, Catie Sas?
You know, not really, but let's go.
All right, listening to the Impure Thoughts podcast and hearing Catie be brutally honest with her struggles with impure thoughts. First, props to her for being so open and owning it. It's rare for people who confess their sin, which I feel takes the power of it away. But secondly, if she identified the gym as where she has these thoughts primarily, I'm just wondering why you would put yourself into a situation of temptation. I see it similar to an alcoholic going to a bar, but I'd like to better understand how one can justify the continuation of flirtation with temptation, knowing full well the risk. If there is deep-rooted trauma or addiction that isn't fully addressed and resolved, why continue to jump in the water if you can't swim? If that makes sense. All right, so first off, Catie, what do you think about that question?
So-
that seemed like pretty direct.
Can I jump in? I actually asked that question. Like, I text that question in. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So-
That was me.
So is that okay? So now you have to look at your accuser.
Wow.
Okay, first off,
Wow.
I don't see it as an accusatory question.
Okay, all right, that's good. That's good.
Look at it.
I appreciate that question
Yeah.
because you're wanting, because that's a question that I would have asked too.
Right.
Oh, good.
Like if I would have heard someone sharing that story, I would have been like,
What's the
well,
deal?
why do you keep going? Like, makes common sense to
Right.
me. Like, so I really do appreciate it. It kind of shows that you are genuine in your desire for people to be pure and
Holy.
be held accountable.
To some extent. But no, it was just interesting because as I'm listening, there's again, you can listen to the podcast, and as I'm listening to it, I'm like, well, okay, wait, why? First off, the first thing I felt was, that's insane that she is so open to share that because people won't share their sin, and I think that is not something that we should be doing. I think, we should be able to share, like, this is a problem that I have, because then it shows the humanity in it, and that we all are imperfect and we're all able to sin, and that happens, but it's, you hit some brutal things that people just aren't honest about, and so that's why I'm like, well, hey, props, but why do you keep
There's
going?
there's another side
Right,
to it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what we talked about is, I think you mentioned this, as I recall in the podcast, that you were at the gym and were you on the treadmill?
Yeah.
Or you were on the treadmill and you were seeing somebody and it led you down a dark path.
No, there was also the guy that was instructing, and you're like, I can't take his
No,
class.
it was the guy that was instructing that I
No.
was like, yeah, no, this class is not for me. Like
But that wasn't the only thing.
that
Right.
wasn't. So, let me just say
Mhm.
that the gym is not the
That's not the place.
So the gym is an example that I use.
Okay.
Because
Oh,
it's
got
a
it.
very
Right.
easy. It's a very easy. I go there all the time. Like we originally signed up for the gym because I needed a place to drop off Ava.
I rember this. I
I
remember this.
needed a place.
And then we talked about Lifetime.
And so
And Inga's not a part of this.
I love that you remember her name.
Inga's not a part of
Wow,
this.
the fact that you know Inga is pretty impressive.
I'm
Yeah.
diehard.
Oh, so it's mostly where I struggle the most is my mind.
Okay,
Because yes, I mean
Not
temptation's gonna
eyes.
be everywhere.
because I think this is important, and this is the usual distinction between men. Men are more visual, like I see something and I'm like, "Brr." And I'm assuming you're saying women are more like in my fantasy land.
I can imagine like an ideal marriage, ideal man, ideal. I can just imagine all of that in my head and how there's no flaw. Like this guy, it's kind of like a movie,
So it could be the grocery store.
and
Like,
it
this isn't.
Yeah.
Like it's less. Because yes, it was easier to say like, oh, I can see somebody, which is true. Like, oh yeah, like there are attractive men all over the place, and like I can see somebody and be like, oh, he's attractive. But it's more so in my head. And it's more so with the images that I can't unsee that I have seen in the past with just pornography and all of that in the past. And so there are images in my head that are very, very hard to get out. And so they also contribute to this, like, you know, it's coming up on 7 years that we've been married. And it's kind of like when you've only had sex with this one guy for the last 7 years, it's like there is some curiosity that can kind of come up in your head. And so, like, maybe there's an ex, or like there's somebody that I used to know, or like somebody that's like, oh, I wonder what he would like. I wonder if he would make a better husband, or I wonder, like, there are. So I appreciate that question, because yes, like if the gym was really this like heavy place of temptation, then like it would make sense for me to work out in my garage. Like that would be where I should be held accountable. But when I confess to that to him, when I talk to him about how like, hey, this is what I'm struggling with, like I can fantasize about this made up imaginary guy in my head, like it took the power out of it. So like I was able to put that sin to death in that moment. And so each day, whenever that temptation does come up, then, because it's not necessarily about how they look, like.
But I think I think it goes back to the trauma that you experience, you know. So I think a lot of people listening probably are like, oh, well, you know, why this and why that? But that's the one thing that I kept identifying out of what you said, is that you experienced something that a child, which is what you were, you know, 4th grade, that's a child.
Right.
What you experienced, that was traumatic.
Yeah.
Even though, you know, it's not a form of, you know, physical abuse or actual sexual abuse, it is still technically a form of abuse.
Well, I experienced sexual abuse later on in my childhood.
Right. So, so now you've got these things, you know, that are just kind of all contributing traumatic factors, I think, that are just, you know, so it's so much more that people need to identify when they look at that and go, oh, well, I can't believe that you would, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, there's a lot more to this than that. So, and you're so young, you know, like, I'm old.
You're a baby.
I'm going to be 30 in July.
Okay,
Oh my God.
I'm 45. So you're like, I'm like, oh, this little girl. But you're still so young that, you know, the fact that you identify some of these things is so mature, because there are people that are my age or older that will not own that kind of you know, sin or falling short of certain things. They won't identify that, and they definitely are not going to talk to their spouse about it. So that's you doing what you do is such a mature thing. So it was interesting because I think it wasn't elaborated on, which is why I was asking.
No, yeah, I get that. I get that I used the gym, and so that was like misleading. I just was like, well, the gym is like where a plethora of dudes are. And like, yeah, there are like
Plethora of dudes. I love that. It's like a cornucopia of dudes.
But like also there's a whole nother side of the gym being a mission field.
Yep.
And so I didn't want this sin, I didn't want this temptation to erode the opportunity of evangelism there. And so that's why I was like, I don't want Satan to take this from me. I'm not gonna like hide myself in my garage because my mind is like going crazy. And it's like, okay, I need to confess this to Ryan so that I can, one, protect my marriage, protect my mind, and I can also allow God to still use me in this place. Because I don't, like, if I didn't go to the gym, then I would just have to figure out where else I was going to put Ava, because this just, but like I've met so many moms.
Right.
And I've connected with so many people that like, I didn't want my sin to steal this opportunity that I feel like God has really placed me here. And it's kind of like, okay, well, I could have like closed up shop and been like, well, you know what, my mind is a sinful place and but like I'm gonna go somewhere else and my mind's still gonna be a sinful place. And so it's like I need to like go to the root of the issue. And I know my mind. My mind has always been a gutter, always. Like I can't, it's my mind always goes to like the perverted, like if someone's telling a story, then it's like my mind will automatically go to how this is a perverted sexual story. And that's just, I grew up with 4 brothers. That's just how they all were. Like, I have just always been around perversion.
So that's what she said constantly.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And always sex, always like very degrading sexual jokes, like just, and so I'm just conditioned, and I have to be intentional of not being that way. And so knowing my mind and knowing where it goes, if I like, I don't know, and it also goes to, if it's been a while since we've had sex, that is gonna also contribute to it. Like a couple weeks ago, it was like, okay, I got sick, I was on my period, and then he got sick, and it was just like, it had been a hot minute. And so like my mind,
Maybe a cold hour.
yeah, so like my
This is why I don't tell my jokes. But
so my mind, I think you have to know the darkness of your heart.
That's
You have to know it.
huge.
And there is so much darkness in my heart that like I probably don't know the full capacity of it. And so but like if I don't confess, if I don't tell Ryan, like the other day in casual conversation, I had confession has to be like exercising. The more you do it, the more you work this muscle, the easier and more casual it's going to be. Like, it doesn't have to be like, babe, we need to sit down. Yes.
Big.
Like the other day, it had been a while. So I was like, babe, I had a dream about another guy, and we need to have sex. We need to, like, this, my mind is like over, and I know that these are two pastors, and he's like, okay, yeah. And so, but like, this is,
But that does come down to communication, though.
Yes.
Like, you have to communicate.
He does the same with me. Like, because I think it's interesting when like your wife also understands your struggle as a male, because a lot of wives don't understand that mental struggle as a male, because men are visual, and men, it's typical. Like, I hate saying this, but like, it is typical that like if someone's in your marriage is going to struggle with porn, it's most likely going to be the man. And so it's interesting. Like, thankfully, by the grace of God, I do not struggle with porn anymore. That was pre-Jesus. But I do struggle with the images that I can't unsee.
Right.
And so it's not like it's just disappeared.
Right.
So I have to
Just
keep
because you're not on a computer
Yes.
looking at it, you're
Yes.
still technically looking
my
at it.
imagination
Right.
can go wild.
Right.
And so I have to know myself. At the gym, I know that there can be temptation, but that's also why I stopped taking that class. When I noticed.
Just so you know, I'm not going to stop you. Well,
No,
I just stopped you. I was going to tell you, too, I had to pray just right now for forgiveness, because I was mad at you, somebody evangelizing in the gym. I was like, I don't want nobody talking to me if I'm in the gym.
Yeah, no, my husband's the same way.
Oh,
We're
I
not-
don't go-
I'm here to work.
I don't go over
I'm
to
not-
like where the dudes are working
Right.
out.
No.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying in
No.
general. I'm just saying
I'm
in
just-
general.
Yeah, no,
that
it's
wasn't.
Do you evangelize, and it might be weird to say that, are you looking to build relationships in the locker room? Where does that happen for you? Because I mean, I can't, if you're doing
you met moms and stuff.
yeah, if you're doing a class and you're like, hey, so,
No.
or you want to go
I
to a
think
coffee
it's
date?
like reading
No.
the room, because like me personally, when I go to the gym, if I'm in the gym, I have my headset on and
Yeah.
I am lifting weights. So I nobody's going to approach me.
And you have your own gym.
Well, now I do, but I say before, if I was at the gym, like, I'm not going there for conversation. I'm going
Right.
there to work out. So, but if you see, and I think the Spirit leads you too.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's somebody that I'm going to approach, and
Yeah.
right. So
So-
I understand what
yeah.
you're saying. I get it.
Oh, there are so many opportunities. So basically how it works is, I don't know that I have a strategy, but this is kind of like how it's happened.
Mm.
So the 9:30 class, like Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
Not
Those
the
are
dude, not the dude's.
Not the dudes.
Right.
This Inga's class?
This is Inga's classes.
Yeah.
So
Inga comes back. Here we go.
as a stay-at-home mom, you can kind of identify the other stay-at-home moms.
Right.
So either they're stay-at-home moms who are just needing a break, drop their kids off, go to a workout class, or they just have flexible schedules and their work schedules, and so they're able to go to this
Right.
9:30 class in the middle of the day or the middle of the morning. So there are a lot of moms that take the same classes. So after about a month, I could kind of see there were a lot of the same moms that I would see each time each class. And so I just would start up conversation. So after class, you say hi, you start talking. There's your husband.
Oh my.
After class, I would say hi and, talk, and then we'd walk to the locker room together and we'd still talk and kind of hang out. And so it's kind of like, it's honestly, Lifetime Fitness is like a stay-at-home mom's dream of a place.
Yeah.
And because you get to work out and then you also get to socialize. And then you can go, hey, tomorrow I'm going to bring Ava to the pool. Do you want to join us?
Boom.
And so then they'll come to the pool, and then I meet moms at the pool all the time. And like, I have a laying out by the pool buddy now. So,
nice.
We'll drop our kid off and then we'll go lay out by the pool and tan and talk. So it's like, I kid you not, like this is like, I understand that
Tan and talk. That
That's
just
like, that sounds like a CG name.
yeah.
We're going to tan and talk.
All right, go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry.
So those are the opportunities that I didn't want to miss out on.
Yeah.
Because, I can't get my mind in check, so I'm just gonna like.
Way to go.
So it's not the gym, it's my sin.
Right.
Like, it's not the world, it's your flesh.
Man, I love the way you've really walked us through all that, and I hate to shift content, but I want to keep going on your evangelism
Okay.
rabbit trail thread. I was like,
There you go.
looking, thank you. I was
Right.
like, I had no idea what
I
the
was
word
gonna
was.
say journey.
Journey, yeah, that's fine. So Peanut, how remember Amber?
Yes.
So how has that gone on your evangelism?
So, the memorial was yesterday, or Saturday. So, I was able to photograph it for her.
Oh, wow.
And, so just, I know, I felt so weird asking, like, hey, would you want your memorial photographed? Like, I would love to do that for you. Just, like, serve her in that
Yeah.
way. Like, I'm not going to charge you to, like, photograph your son's memorial. And, she's like, wow, that would be amazing. Like, I was thinking that she was going to be like, oh, that's kind of weird. But it was actually really good. And, like, I just, she was very appreciative. Her husband was very appreciative. And
Oh, that's man.
it's,
Katie, it's mind blowing to me how you've gotten into this person's most inner part of her life just through an app where you met somebody intentionally. And so, wow. Okay, so that's that. So that I don't say that closes that relationship, because I don't think that relationship's closed.
No, I mean, I told her, I said, hey, I know that, like, our friendship started with play dates with our kids, but I want you to know that, like, I do see you as more than that. Like, I want you to know that you're a friend of mine.
And how'd that go?
It was good.
Yeah, and she was like, cool.
Don't you still have something coming up with them or something? I thought you guys were all supposed to go somewhere.
So that was probably her birthday.
Oh, okay.
So that was in February.
Oh.
So we all went to Cirque du Soleil.
Yeah.
You know that because of the podcast?
Yeah. Circle back to
I'm like, was I not in that podcast?
Yeah. Oh, wow, that's impressive. Okay, so, all right, so you're not that your relationship with her is on pause. It's just
It looks different now.
looks different. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so tell me about Peanut again, because I think you told me you were looking to meet another person.
Yeah.
That's an app, right?
Yes,
Just like-
Peanut's
right.
the like dating app for single moms. Or not single moms, married.
Social-
Not dating. Sorry,
socializing
social app. Sorry, that was the wrong
They're,
word.
like picking up their phone right
No,
now. Like,
yeah,
oh,
oh, sweet. No, it's for moms to meet moms.
Right,
Sorry,
right.
Yeah.
sorry, that was.
Nope, we got you.
It's like a
We
dating
got
app.
you.
Yeah. Well, because I think, like, a lot of times we can say, okay, pray for an opportunity, and
Yeah.
like, you think God's gonna just put it in your lap, like, put this, like, person in conversation right in your lap, like a silver platter, like, here you go.
And he does sometimes, but
God does that.
there's a proactivity that has
Yes.
to take place. Right.
Like, I think God also gives us the resources to create those opportunities
Right.
and wait for God to work.
Wow. All right, so you've gotten on the app again, and have you met anyone?
So the weather, each time I've, like, tried to hang out with his mom, it's pouring rain or it's 32 degrees. Like,
So can you
rain.
tell me, like, can you give us some, who's this lady? I want to.
So-
our listeners want to know.
Yeah, I would.
Well, now it's kind of discouraging because it's like, okay, it's been like, we've literally tried to hang out like 4 times. This last recent time we tried to hang out, Ava slammed her head against the floor twice, and so I was like really worried that she's gonna have a concussion, so I canceled. I was just, and there was definitely a part of me that was like, oh, well, you know, you don't trust God, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, I have to, like, look out for my baby,
I don't think there's
okay?
anything wrong with you.
Right, no.
Okay, good.
But don't allow all of these obstacles. You want to hear? So I had my church planner's assessment finally,
Oh, man.
but it took January, whatever snow ice day. That was the plan, and we had planned it like 2 months in advance. Like, okay, well, we'll do it again in February. What just so happens when we planned it in February, it was the next ice day.
Oh, my gosh.
You know, you just gotta.
And then we had to wait till April.
You went back to April. So,
But it happened.
But it
so
happened.
just keep swimming.
Well, and I
Thanks, Nemo.
want to hang out with this girl because she's also a photographer.
Oh yeah.
And so we would have a ton to talk about. And
Have you seen her work?
her son, no.
Oh.
She does mainly family. So I've never like seen her at a wedding.
Do people
Did
have
you-
multiple?
I'd be social media stalking somebody.
Yeah.
Did you say, have you seen her at work?
No, seen her.
No,
work.
seen her,
Like-
seen her work.
I was like, no, I've like never gone to like her family.
Yeah.
function or something. I was like,
I wouldn't hold my camera like that.
Like, clearly,
No,
she has a
I-
Nikon.
so-
I'm a Canon girl.
No, shortly after we discovered that we were both photographers, we like found each other on Instagram.
Got
and
it.
so I've seen her work.
Got it.
It's beautiful. So she's definitely very talented.
All right. So speaking of that, do you guys have anybody you're inviting this Sunday to Easter?
I went on social media and did a post
Okay.
because we are new to the Austin area, so all the people we know
Our church
I
friends.
go to church with. So I actually, we Hannity and I my daughter took a picture with the cards and tagged our church and just said, hey, if you're in the Austin area, we'd love to have you. These are the times of our services. And then I just took it a step further and just said, if you're not here and you want to go to church, then please DM me and I will find a church for you to go to.
Nice.
And I had 3 people message me.
Hey,
on
we need to do that.
Instagram.
If you're not in the area,
That's what's up.
DM me. I'll find a church for you. I love that.
Because people don't know what to do, and
Yeah.
so
And they wanna know a
I
good-
know
come
a
to
lot
a
of
good
the people
church.
that I know. So I know, I'm not gonna go. Okay, well, I'm gonna send you to a Catholic church, or I'm gonna send you to
Right.
a Baptist church because I know these people. So I had a couple people reach out to me. So I'm currently working with, my brother who knows pastors in other areas also, and
That's really cool.
yeah. So
Man, that's. But okay, it's not like that's the only thing you've done. You did go. So there's a new business open right next to your business.
right.
So that's.
So that was
So that was like a
call-
minor
yeah,
thing where you
call
went and
center.
invited
And
100
so
people.
that was like an idea just that I saw that and I was
Great
like,
idea.
you know what, people love donuts. And so I went to Pastor Joseph and said, hey, this is an idea that I have and do you want to go with me? And so we brought the cards and the Easter flyers and
Nice.
went over there and took them about 4 dozen donuts.
So that's more than just doing a social media post. Just FYI.
Oh yeah, okay, that too. But
Oh, listen, I raised my hand and said,
we pulled Pastor James. I was like, you come with us? He's like, I was like, you were coming now.
I love it. How can you say no to that?
Right, I know.
He did, then he came back.
Yeah.
He had a little
Yeah.
FOMO.
Circle back. Yeah. So that's just me personally. To me, it's like, okay, well, I don't really know people in this area, so what can I do other than stay silent? So I'm like, well, I have social media, and so I can put that out. And even if it's not in my area, somebody sees it, then they might be inspired to go to church, or look for a church or whatever.
What about you, Pastor Joe?
Neighbors, and then I called some of my neighbors. And
Yeah.
invited them.
I love that. I just did my neighbor yesterday. He took my oldest son, fishing, and as he dropped off Austin, I go, hey, Easter's coming up, and he's like, oh yeah. Oh, do you want to come to our church? He's like, I said, I'll text you the details. Like, yeah, text me the details. I feel kind of bad because I'm like my community group's really awesome. I mean, it's really amazing. And I invited him on the 1 week that nobody showed up. Like,
Oh no.
like usually there's 20 guys there, and 1 week he showed up, it was 6, and it was like not. It was awesome for 6 people, I'm sure, but it was not what it normally is, and I was just like,
Kind of embarrassed.
yeah, I was. It was like false. I felt like false advertising. It was like, no, these guys are great, and then none of them showed up, and it's like 6 people, and again, not that they were bad people, it just was not the
The quantity.
yeah, because when you go to
the hype. It didn't live up to the hype.
Yeah, it was just
that
not
you-
what
right.
I didn't deliver what I promised.
Right.
And so since then I've been like, ugh. And so I've been looking for a way to kind of bring him back in, because he did come and it just was not. I wish I could have done that one all over. Anyway, but so hopefully he'll come for Easter. I'm excited about that. His son is in my son's third grade class, and so hopefully, and his son has a twin sister. Hopefully, will show up. So that'd be kind of neat.
So something we probably could also do is do like we used to do little packages for the school districts and go to teaching to elementary schools and things in the area and do like glue sticks and tissue and packs of gum and things like that and wrap it up, and then we would take them to the schools to give to the teachers, and they would have all the church things in there.
That would have been great to bring up, last month.
I mean, we can still do it. It just wouldn't be for Easter.
Way to go!
Womp, womp, womp. Here's all the things we're doing wrong. Thank you once again. Straight out of Compton.
That's what I'm here for.
No, it's good. Yeah,
Little
that's
late,
a
but-
great idea. I think we should do that. That's
For
Teachers-
Mother's Day, maybe.
teachers-
yeah.
Teachers
Mother's
Appreciation.
Day, Teachers. When is
Yeah.
that?
It's in May.
Oh,
Teacher
well there you go.
appreciation.
Well,
It's
perfect.
gonna be
It's not in May?
I don't remember.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Mother's Day is in May. I know that.
Yeah.
It's always towards the end of the school year.
Which is like the third kind of Super Bowl of church, Mother's Day.
Yeah, it really is. It is. When is Teacher Appreciation Day? It is May 1 through the 7th is the week, so
Yeah.
May 4th. There you
May
go.
the fourth be with you.
May the fun.
All right.
All right. We had another question, but I think we're gonna have to wait for next week to
Are you
get
gonna
to
talk
it.
about Easter, Chris?
Oh gosh, yeah, Easter. Hey, it is Thursday, so every one of you guys out there, please invite someone to Easter. Just everyone bring one. If you could just think of it that way.
Each one bring one.
Each one bring one. 7 a.m., 9 a.m., and 10:45. There won't be children's ministry at the 7 a.m. It's just kind of like a family gathering outside.
Bring
So,
your chairs.
but there will be
Chairs.
coffee and there will be chairs. And we've been really trying to figure out how we get chairs out there. We have like about 100 of our black chairs. So we remember, if you can remember back in the rec center days, we had those black sweet chairs. We'll bring those out there. If you want to bring your own chair, because you're like, I don't sit in those black hard chairs. I want to sit in my own
Some
comfy
people
camping
appreciate
chairs.
comfort.
Yeah,
A lawn chair.
Yeah, you can
Those
bring
ones.
you can lay out in your lawn chair. It's fine.
Right. With the little footrest. Bring it all.
Yeah, just come on. So and so I would love for that. It's gonna be fun. 7 a.m. for that. Remember, that's a family affair, and then 9 we'll have normal children's ministry, and 10:45 we'll have normal children's ministry. It's gonna be an experience. And then also tomorrow is as we've been talking about earlier in the week, we have Good Friday. So Pastor Joseph, tell us one more time about Good Friday.
Good Friday will be about an hour, maybe an hour, 10-minute service where we'll do some worship together. 20 minutes or so of worship, a few worship songs, which would be awesome. Then hear a little word from myself, going through why we celebrate the resurrection or Good Friday and what is so good about Good Friday. In the sense of you think about communion, what was God doing, or what was Jesus doing when breaking bread with and drinking of the wine with the disciples, and what does the cross represent that he carried, and why did he have to carry it, and what does those sins mean, or him dying for my sins? Like, you have this perfect lamb dying on this cross, this sacrifice for me. And then also the tearing of the veil, just this idea of us having full access to God, no longer needing a mediator in a sense of a man. We have a mediator in the Holy Spirit intercessing for us through prayer, and Jesus Christ mediating on our behalf, interceding is what we're taught in Romans. And so just walking through a lot of those different things.
Yeah.
And it won't be long service. But then taking communion.
And that's 6:30 on Friday.
6:30 on Friday, yeah.
And then 10 a.m. on Saturday at Wells Branch Elementary, we'll have the Easter Bunny out, and we'll be doing a big Easter egg hunt for all ages of children. So come on, bring your little troopers out. That will be exciting for us to all take part. So this is a big weekend for the church. And so if you're looking for a way to kind of get people into a slow roll in, the Easter egg hunt's an easy way to kind of like, hey, see these people? You'll see them all tomorrow. They're not that weird. Come on.
Not that.
We're not weird.
Well, I mean, we do believe that somebody was raised from the dead, and he is our God. So that part can be weird for people who are not,
Right.
They don't really talk about blood and cleansing your sin all the time. So, all right. Well, hey guys, I have been just enthralled by this. Thanks so much for sharing and being so vulnerable as you always are. Listen, if you guys have any questions you want to ask, make sure you text us 737-231-0605. We would love to encounter you and your question and engage here. And it's so fun. So we'll see you next week. Have an awesome week of worship.